person has a personal brand, and that personal brand is, what do people say about you when you're no longer in the room? Or perhaps when we mention Rudolph or AJ Sarpong, what's one of the first few things that come to their mind? That is usually linked to your personal branding. In fact, let me tell you something as well. With personal branding as well, it has to do with association. We always associate something with something, and that's personal branding. For example, if we say KFC, for example, we associate that with fast food, quick services, everything quick. We talk about Nike, we talk about performance, we talk about athletes, so it's always an association. So with personal branding, when you want to look at your personal brand, you need to think about, okay, what do people say about me? Well, who do people associate me with, or what do they associate me with? And that's your personal brand.
Why is it so important for us to get it right?
It's very important. I think many people are leaving money on the table because of poor personal branding. Yes, I can tell you that for free. The thing is, the reason why it's so important is because, actually, let's take something from the good books. It says a good name is better than riches. Your name carries you everywhere. If you don't get a personal brand correct, if you don't get a personal brand in check, what's going to happen is, like I said, you're going to leave money on the table, you're going to leave opportunities on the table, and it's something that people they see as something that, well, I don't have a personal brand, I can just do whatever I want to do. You've noticed, of course, from my accent, I'm from England. In England, we have the royal family. Now, the royal family is very interesting people. Now, they teach their children to act a certain way. Why? Because they have to protect the brand of the family. So you'll find that the Prince William and so forth are not allowed to be anywhere. They just can't talk anyhow. They can't just dress anyway, because they have to protect the image of the family. So personal branding, because if something bad happens, you know what's going to happen. It's going to be all over the tabloid, all over the news, and so forth and so forth. So I think it's very imperative for every individual listening to me here in Ghana. Don't say, well, I just work at a car wash, so I don't have a personal brand. That's not true. Every single one of us, we do have a personal brand, and protect it at all cost.
I love that. I love that. Now, you exclaim that people do leave money on the table because maybe they're not known for one thing or the other. But how can someone identify their unique proposition? Perhaps you don't even know what your personal brand is, or you don't know what you should be identified for. How do you hone the skills, or whatever it's the set of skills, to be able to ensure that people know who you are as soon as they hear your name?
Okay, first of all, I think the first thing you can do, or make people feel a little bit uncomfortable, if you do not know your personal brand, you can start asking people close around you. You can start asking them simple questions. Oh, okay, AJ Sarpong, when you think of Rudolph, what comes to your mind? Some people don't want to hear the truth, but that you can start off there. Then after AJ Sarpong, you ask your relative, another friend, like, what does come? You're going to find some sort of a middle ground where everyone's talk about, you deal with excellence. You're very excellent. The way, or great communication skills. Then you start realize, okay, maybe I need to hone on to that. Another way of how someone can hone into their personal brand is also by sitting down and really reflecting, asking themselves, this year in 2026, what do I want people to remember me by when I leave 3FM radio station? What do I want to leave them with? And that's another way of finding out, how to hone into your personal brand. So when the moment, let's say I ask AJ Sarpong, so Rudolph, you're a great communicator. Okay, then I'll look at, let me take classes on communication. Let me improve this, because it seems like this is a tool that perhaps I can use to stop leaving money on the table. So, yeah.
Okay. Social media. A lot of people sometimes shy away from social media. They feel my work doesn't necessarily, unless you're directly in the limelight or directly in roles that put you there. Some people don't really see the considerations of social media. Is social media something everyone should use to enhance their personal branding? Can you shy away from social media in 2026?
You can, but it will damage your brand a little bit, because I believe that our CV now is our social media. Many people will listen to my voice. Do you know what they're going to do after this? They're going to go on Google. They're going to check out, who's this Rudolph Brainer? Let's find, maybe I like what he's saying, and they're going to find me. If they see something online that doesn't align with what I'm saying today, be like, well, he was talking about this. He doesn't seem like he's the person. And then it can strip me off, like, once again, from opportunities and so forth. So I think it's very difficult in 2026 to have a business, or as a personal, if you're a personal or a public figure, very hard not to use social media, because it does enhances your personal brand. In fact, I think we live in a time where when people don't have a social media, you think like, what are they trying to hide? Why? I mean, I don't make the rules, but I think that's how people feel. Like, why can I not find AJ Sarpong online? What's going on? Why is she hiding? So it does depend on that individual, but it doesn't harm your brand. But then it can only harm your brand if whatever you put online is not in conjunction with who you say you are, or what your core values are. So,
since we're going into mistakes people make, what are some of the biggest mistakes in general people make in building a personal brand?
I think the first one is that they don't associate with, for example, people come under scrutiny when they say one thing and then they associate with another thing. So, for example, I'm someone who's into discipline, but then everything about me, I associate myself with another brand who doesn't value discipline. You know, not to like name drop or anything like that, but I'm sure the people can get the picture. I think I said branding's about association. When you associate with something that's not in line with your values, that's when things goes really wrong. So it's very important for the individual to know, like, it's not every interview that I take, for example. It's not every place that I will speak at, because I need to protect my value. I need to protect my personal brand, because I'm thinking if people see me next to this person at this event, they might think, well, but Rudolph says this, and it looks like he's contradicting himself. And once that contradiction comes, nobody really actually believe you anymore. They say, well, then you have a character flaw. They're like, well, we can't trust him anymore because he says one thing and then he does
something completely different. Okay, all right. Common mistakes, still on that, but sometimes some people's brands evolve over time. They don't even realize that it's evolving. You started off being just maybe a radio person, now you're a TV person, and you've added other things to it, and that's just even one example. So many people evolve over time but don't realize that their personal branding is evolving. Is this something that you can manage? Can you manage the evolution of your personal brand?
Absolutely. I think what you said is something that people find a lot in entertainment. Let's use music as an example. Someone will start off coming from a very rough neighborhood, tough background, and they start talking about what we consider the street life. And now they've sold records, they made a lot of money. Now they no longer represent necessarily, not to take away their struggle. Obviously the struggle will still be part of your story, but now they've seen a different side of life. So, and then their music starts to evolve. They start talking about different things. They talk about painting, art, and everything. And then people will look at them as like, well, we like you when you used to talk about this. But the thing is, the person has evolved. And as you evolve, you start talking about different things. You start, different experience happens to you. So sometimes it's hard for not just the individual, people around you, because they see you a certain way. They're like, I know AJ Sarpong to be just a radio presenter. Now she's talking about she's a digital entrepreneur. So sometimes people have a struggle with that, but you need to understand that nothing in life stays the same. We are always constantly evolving. I know how you was 10 years ago is not how you are right now. It's not possible. Nothing stays the same. So we're always evolving, and we should embrace the change. We should always embrace as human beings, we're always going to evolve. So I think that's something I would like to tell the audience today.
Now, personal branding too sometimes comes from a lot of showing your personality, right? Showing a bit more of yourself, being open, being vulnerable,
right?
But where do you draw the line between oversharing, in feeling authentic? How do you, is there such a thing, oversharing, if you're trying to create an authentic vibe and audience?
Yeah, of course there is something called oversharing. I'm not in a position to tell someone like this is what you're not allowed to share. I think the individual, we have something called intuition. Sometimes, I'm sure maybe you felt that before, you wanted to post something, you're like, I don't think so. I don't know if my people from 3FM are watching this. I'm sure you can relate to what I'm saying. So that intuition sometimes is speaking to us. And if you're getting something like that, maybe you should listen to that intuition. There is something called oversharing, because the sad reality is that we live in a world that not everybody wants to see your progress. They don't want to see you to evolve to the best version of yourself. And sometimes sharing information too quickly can not only harm you, like maybe spiritually, but can also, someone can say something to discourage you that will make you think like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this business. Perhaps you want to go into real estate, and you start sharing online before you've even done any research or talked to any developer or whatsoever, and you say, well, I want to get to real estate, and then someone will be like, don't do that. It's not going to succeed. It's saturated. And then that might throw you off. But if you keep it to yourself, and then
I've done it, yeah.
you've done it already, and then you just show the results. So I like to subscribe to the thing that show the results, don't even show them the plan, unless they can help you with the plan. I mean, if you can't help me with the plan, then why should I come and tell you anyways? It's maybe I'm trying to feed my own ego. Who knows? Yeah.
I like that.
Tell me I'll be
Now, setbacks, crisis. Sometimes you'd have worked really hard to build a personal brand. People identify with, people trust it. Then maybe you had a misstep. You tweeted the wrong thing. You said the wrong thing. Maybe someone attacks your persona incorrectly. But before you could even figure it out, it's already started damaging your brand. How do you bounce back after getting hit by a crisis?
That's a great question. I think this is something that happens a lot in leadership position when you find out, oh, someone's caught in a scandal or something like that. First of all, the first thing you need to do is to accept the mistake that this has happened. We're humans. We're bound to make mistakes. We might contradict our personal brand. The second thing, which I think is the most important thing, is that now start rebuilding a brand again. People are going to talk. You can't stop people from talking. That's one thing you have to realize. No matter if you do good or bad, people are going to talk. What you need to do is really focus on the goal. What people eventually will do is that the moment they see you, like, this is not harming Rudolph. We've said everything, but Rudolph is just focused. It's just focused. And one thing people can't, they literally can't argue with your results. When your results are speaking louder than anything, they say, this guy was a bad, but you know what, I can't lie, he keeps winning. He just keeps winning. He just keeps winning. So I would tell that individual that maybe has slipped up or they've done a mistake, it's like, first of all, accept it, it's okay, move on. And then I know it's very challenging, I'm not saying, especially here in our beautiful country Ghana, where we like to talk about everything, you know, you can trend overnight, but it's really important for that individual to tell themselves that, you know what, I'm going to rebuild my brand, you know, and this one misstep is not going to define my whole future. It can't. So we're all going to have somewhere where we're going to misstep a little bit, but just pick yourself up and just keep building a brand. Ignore the noise. Just keep building, keep building, keep building. Eventually, your results will speak louder.
Now, let's quickly get into the mindset for 2026. What are some of the things that people should be key on developing in terms of, or areas of the mind that people should be focused on developing in 2026?
I think one of the things they need to do is, a mind is like a muscle, so you have to feed it. You have to feed your mind with the right information, the things you're listening to, the things you're hearing. And the reason why I say this is because if you are, for example, you need to understand, okay, let me explain this. The mind is made out of two parts. We have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is your critical thinking. You're using your conscious mind to accept what I'm saying. But what people don't understand is that you don't internalize anything unless it reaches your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the lower part of the mind, hence the word sub. So the subconscious mind, the only way you can alter that subconscious mind is through repetition. So this is why, for example, when you went to school and they told you the alphabet, your teacher made you repeat that over and over again so that it gets stuck into your subconscious mind. That's the same thing with your life right now. You want to start feeding yourself the right information, and don't feed it once. Don't feed it like, well, today I'm just going to read this book, I'm going to listen to AJ Sarpong in the morning, I'm going to do this. You want to repeat it over and over again so that you can develop that mindset. Once you develop that mindset, it becomes a belief. Once you believe something, you're going to start taking action. In the Bible, it says that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And the word heart there refers to the subconscious mind, actually, because the organ in your chest haven't got the ability to think. So as a man thinking in the subconscious mind, so is he. So this is what I would tell the audience to do, that develop that mind. But before you can develop it, you also need to understand, where am I going? That's the first thing, because if you don't know where you're going, you don't know what kind of materials to soak up into. So yeah, that's one of the things that we can do. All of us can do right now.
I love it. So we're having a conversation with Rudolph Brenya. In case you're just tuning in, we're talking on building your personal brand in 2026, as well as the mindset, the kind of mindset you need to focus on, the things you want to be talking, thinking, working on in the brand new year. But moving on to the next one, how can someone cultivate a growth mindset and overcome self-limiting beliefs?
Yeah, so good question. A growth mindset comes from the fact that there's two types of mindset. I'm happy that you mentioned growth mindset, and we have the fixed mindset. You would find that in this part of the world, a lot of people have a fixed mindset, unfortunately, because they think, well, this is how life is always going to be, nothing's going to change. And when you have that mindset, you've already lost the game of life. You have to understand that, like I said earlier, nothing stays the same. You need to have the ability to understand that whatever you're thinking is actually producing your results in life. So you need to have this mindset that whatever situation I am right now, if I begin to develop myself, develop my personal brand, this result it has to change. There's a principle called sowing and reaping. In the universal law, they call it cause and effect. Every effect came from a cause. So if you don't like the results you're getting in your life right now, based on your mindset and everything, all you need to do is start planting new causes in your mind. If you plant new causes in your mind, there's no way. I know it sounds too good to be true, but there's no way that you won't produce a different effect. It's not possible. If you start planting new courses, I would actually challenge all the listeners to do this. You start challenging, if you don't like the results you get in your life, say, well, let me start planting new courses in my mind. When I say courses, I mean like different mindset, the way you view money, the way you view your career. Start planting different ideas into your mind. Eventually, you will change your results. It has to, because it's a law anyway. So
okay, all right. So we have to focus on planting the right mindsets, and that would turn around quite a bit. Now, self-care. We get on the go so much that before you know it, our mental health is suffering. We're burnt out. I mean, I think a lot of times people either wrap the year or start of the year already burnt out, because you've done so much, you can't even fathom the fact that, oh my God, I'm going to start it all over again for the year. What ways can we ensure that we prevent burnouts?
I think first of all, can I just say that your health is very important. If you're not in good health, like most of the goals that you want to do, you cannot achieve them. What can prevent burnout is a word called priority. What you prioritize will determine what you're going to focus your attention on. What most people tend to do is that they're trying to do 1,001 things at a time. What you want to do is that you want to simplify your life as much as possible. There's some people that in 2026, there's certain people that you shouldn't even allow in your circuit anymore. You know, there's some people call your phone, and eventually the moment they call your phone, your heart starts beating. You're like, oh, I don't want to talk, this person's come to complain, and so forth. So I think it starts with priority. If you can prioritize your life and start saying, what out of the 10 goals that you want to achieve this year, out of the 10 goals, which one is going to have the most significant result in my life if I'm able to achieve it? And then I'll tell that individual to focus on that one thing first, instead of trying to do so many things at once. And also, like I said, it's very important to rest. You know, I struggle with this a little bit, where we always feel sometimes feel guilty, like I can't be watching a movie right now, I should be working. But like I said, you need to find a way to prioritize your resting period, because resting is also part of execution. It's also part, because if you don't rest, an athlete will tell you, if they don't rest really well, they can't play that match or that game on the weekend. So it's very important for every individual to do that.
Okay. Now, I'm going to wrap up the conversation by asking practical steps. Practical steps on building our brands in 2026, and practical steps that we can use to improve our mental health and realign us for 2026.
Okay, so the practical step is the first thing that I love to do. And if people are home right now, you want to grab a pen and paper. When you grab a pen and paper, you want to ask yourself a very simple question. In 2026, what do I want people to remember me by? And then you start answering that question. So this is something very practical. You can do that right now, or when you're off work later on this evening. Just write down, what do I want people to remember me by? And then you start answering it. So maybe I want people to remember me by as someone who's always on time, someone who deals with the spirit of excellence, whatever it is. And then after you write that down, then the hard work starts. Then everything you do, your routine, your structure has to be in alignment with that. So for example, there's no more excuses of coming late. If you put down that I want to be someone on time, so then every time you read that to yourself every morning, I would say read that every single morning, then you tell yourself, when you're about to go to an event, you don't say, oh, after all, African time, we are always late, I'm going to be. No, remember, this is the standard that you've put there for yourself. So that's what you want to do. That's something practical that anyone can do right now.
I like
so
that.
you can do that. So and the second part of your question, in terms of, I think you asked about
mindsets. So practical things they can do to improve upon their mental health and their mindset in 2026.
Okay, so to improve on their mindset, first of all, like I said earlier, is to read the right material, soak in the right material, be around the right people that are going to feed, because everything we're saying right now is planting a seed. We are creatures of influence. Some people are, nobody can influence it. That's not true. We all get influenced. That's why we speak the language we speak. That's why we speak with a particular accent, because maybe around where we grew up, we grew up in around those areas where people spoke those language. Now, in terms of your mental health, is very important. I see the increase of mental health issues is going on. One thing I'll tell individuals is, we've been talking a lot about personal branding and everything, and we talked about social media. I've noticed that we live in a generation where sometimes people use social media to compare themselves. They're like, well, AJ Sarpong personal brand is so good, my personal brand is not there yet. But what people don't understand is that, once again, I don't know how many years that AJ Sarpong has put in to get her personal brand there. We often want to compare our level 1 to level 10. So what I would tell that individual is that, to improve your mental health, first of all, stop the comparison. Don't worry about what anybody's doing. Just focus on your journey. If you can focus on your journey, you've realized that a lot of the pressure of trying to impress people, all of that start leaving you immediately. So I'll say that's one of the ways that you can do. So first of all, get pen and paper, write down, what do I want to be remembered for in this year? And then start acting towards that. In terms of the mental health thing, if comparison is something that you're struggling with, because we live in an age that we've seen everything online, you want to stop telling yourself that, you want to start telling yourself that this is my race. I'm not in competition with AJ Sarpong. You can learn from her, you can take from her, but don't think that maybe just because she's at level 10, you have to be at level 10 immediately, because we all run in our own race.
I love that. Yeah. Final words from you, Rudolph, before I let you go, on how we can all get a better 2026, and how, of course, you can follow and support the work.
Okay, so the final word I would say to people is, I'm going to twist it a little bit. Don't focus on outcome first. Focus on identity first. As an identity strategist, the reason why I'm saying is that if you decide, okay, who do I want to become in 2026, eventually the behavior will follow. What most people do is that they want to focus on the results first. If you focus on the results first, you're going to rely on motivation and willpower. And motivation and willpower can never last.
Yes.
Can never last. That's why people are like, oh, this year I'm going to start going to the gym. This year I'm going to do this. But after 3 weeks, you ask them, how's it going? Oh, it's not because they're relying on motivation and willpower. So please focus on identity. When you decide this is the person I'm becoming, your action will follow, your behavior will follow. So I'll tell that individual, and then the practical thing is very similar. Sit down today and write down, okay, what person do I need to become to achieve this? When you can answer that, you start becoming that person. Eventually, once again, those results must follow. It's almost like magic. That's what we call miracle, but it will follow. Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And thank you so much, Rudolph. Always a pleasure having you here.
Not any more than this.
And we truly appreciate you. Are you going to be here for a bit longer?
Yeah, I'm going to be here for a bit longer. We've got we're working on doing a masterclass.
Okay.
So we're going to do a masterclass in person here in Ghana. We're still working on the dates.
Okay.
So anyone interested, if you follow us on social media, Rudolph Brenya, we do live streams every day on TikTok. So we're going to talk about, all of this stuff and how to have a better 2026 and to conquer the mind, really, because the mind is creating every result in your life. So we're going to be doing that. We'll also be doing we're going to be doing some grassroots work in Kumasi this year as well, for the people, the young people that don't necessarily have the best upbringing, but we're trying to give them some hope as well. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah,
I love that. So I had a very amazing Rudolph Brenya. He's a personal coach. He's an identity strategist, a consultant, an author, an all-rounder, who's someone who can help you get to the point that you are aiming for in the year 2026. So reach out to him at Rudolph Brenya on social media.
Rudolph Brenya everywhere. Oh, Mr. High Definition. That's my nickname. So
I love it.
Yeah, Mr. High Definition. Everywhere you'll find me. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm gonna get back into more great music. This